Hey, 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 hey. Welcome to Black Star Dove. Welcome back to my channel. And today's topic of discussion would be my thoughts on The Godfather. That's right, Kevin Samuels. Um, and my thoughts on him, both good and bad. Sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. Um, just how he became this polarizing figure over the last few months. For the your average at best chick, that's the name of the video. You're average at best. You're average and you're gonna die alone. Man, oh man, I can't lie. It blew him up. Um, First of all, I want to say, as a black man, I'm happy to see him succeed. Whether you like him or not, or whether you agree with him or not, I'm just happy to see another black man out and doing things and having his own space. Like, there's not a lot of people that are in that type of space. There are a lot of women. There's not that many men, and he carved out his own lane. Now, how long have I been following Mr. Kevin Samuels? I want to say about 2 years. I remember when I first came across one of his videos. It was about cologne because I was researching the different types of cologne and when to wear them. You know, some are strong, some are not. And I came across this video. I think it's still on YouTube. Just type in Kevin Samuels cologne, and he was like so wacky with it, and it's like so weird because I went back. As a matter of fact, it's still on there. I went back and I watched it like last week, and it's totally different than how he is now. Um, but yeah, like I said, like I've always been like subscribed to him. I've always like messed with him because I like he says interesting things. Like if you go past the shock value in the recent like stuff, like I guess he found what really works and he's mostly posting that content. So I really can't be mad at him because he's doing what works. But just listening to some of his information and some of his interviews, that's where I come in and I take that information from him. Um, just the way that he describes how things are, it really does make sense, and technically it has truth in it because we're talking about the collective and not the individual. So when you're talking about the collective, you're talking about percentages. So Kevin Samuels is, to a whole lot of women, they consider him to be a woman basher. But I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that he doesn't sometimes step over the line because he does. But if you like really like, see, I'm like I said, I've been following him for like 2 years. Um, it's this. What's the one I'm looking for? Make sure I say this right. It's the way that he delivers things. Um, like not only people now, if you go to his channel, it seems like he's just attacking a whole lot of women. But before, he really was getting on the man and getting on us. And I would listen to him. I would listen to some of the things that he says, and he would let man know whether or not you qualify for this woman that you want. Like, for instance, there's something that he said that I believe in when I see it. He said, look at her makeup. Her makeup has to match or succeed or surpass your dollar sign. Look at her makeup, and then you will see how much money it would take to maintain her. So sometimes when you look at that, and I'm like, man, just think about it from that perspective. Look at her makeup, and you will see how much it costs to maintain her. Can you afford that? If yes, go ahead. If no, know that you can't afford that and go about your business. Um, but it was something he said in the interview. It was on the roommate podcast, and it was just like, I don't know. It kind of really spoke to me, even though it didn't have necessarily affect me. Um, he was like, people call in and they want to be high value men, and he would ask them, why do you want to be a high value man? No one really had an answer for that. They just wanted to be a high value man because society says to be high value, you have to make at least six figures. So he says, why not do something and be happy about that? and he would say man would like email him back and let him know that he's been helping them. So he say, okay, you can be happy being this person, being that person, or being whatever it is that you want to be, but just know that you can't have a Beyonce if you're going to be doing that. So he does both sides. Like when he talks about women, how women want high value man and things of that nature, and usually it's resolved. Sorry, usually it's revolving around a dollar sign. He usually breaks down why that can be a little not feasible, and then he asks legitimate questions. Um, it was an interview he did a few days ago, um, where a woman was in her, I believe she was 31, 32, and she was in the middle of getting her PhD, and he said after she gets her PhD, she wants to get married. So Kevin asked her, okay, so what happens when you get your PhD and you acquire all this debt? How much of the household bills do you want to contribute to? She didn't understand. They was going back and forth, and then they came up to a number. She wanted to contribute 20% of the bills. Like she just wanted to pay 20%, and her husband, whoever that may be, would pay 80%. So he broke it down. He was like 20%. That's usually just a tip. So you don't need to have a PhD in order to leave a tip. And then he was just breaking down the money aspect, and I was just like, of her pursuing that PhD when she was going to throw it away to have a family. So, but just like if you go past like the shock value of what the channel is now, and then like do some digging and see the interviews that he does outside of his own channel, like he's really talking about stuff that can bridge the gap between black men and black women. He even says it in his words. He says, "I don't hate black women. I love black women. Like I'm trying to bridge everything." And something that he brought up, like I said in another interview, that really did speak to me. Another part was we have gone, we have, sorry, we have reached a point where everyone wants a participation trophy, and everyone thinks if you don't get that, you're settling. And I was just like, dang, that's true. Because everybody wants this specific thing, and if you don't get it, it's like you're settling. And in a way, that is true. But also, it's like, let's say if you're not able to get a high value man for six figures, what if you can get a nice, decent man who is an electrician that makes 70,000? Would that be just as fine? To some people, yes. To some people, no. They will see that as settling. So it all just depends. Like I said, he has advice where sometimes I agree, and sometimes he gives advice, and sometimes I disagree. But I do see the purpose that he serves, and I see why he has a strong following. Um, I also see why he has a whole lot of women who don't like him. And it's just like super weird, because if you look on some of these women pages, their Kevin Samuels videos are usually the ones that have the most numbers and most engagement. But it's like that, I don't know. I guess you talk about whoever's hot, and hopefully like some things will like trigger onto you. I mean, to trickle onto you. I guess I'm kind of doing the same thing, so I can't call the kettle black. So, but all in all, I think he's doing a wonderful job for the community. Apparently, he's been married twice and divorced twice, from the information that has been received. But with anything else, same thing what I said about Derek Jackson. Take in the message and get rid of the messenger. Sometimes we gotta look at what the message is and not the person who's giving it, because you can get some really good advice from people you don't even really respect. Um, I remember me myself. One of the best advice I ever got was from a man who was a homeless man at that time. I don't know if he's still homeless now. This was a few years ago. But he just always told me that, the double check all my money, double check all my money, and he said, don't ever let nobody get over on me. And like, it was like super weird, but it was just coming from a homeless man, and it's something that to this day I still remember, and I always double check everything, and just to make sure that no one tries to mess me over. But that was my thoughts on Kevin Samuels. I want to thank you for watching my video. I love you, my black brothers. I love you, my black sisters. I love you. Take care. Peace.